Hello everyone. In this video I will discuss one of the films called Spaceman, and never forget that I always pray for you and your family to be happy and healthy always. When the Earth is struck by a cosmic phenomenon for years, the Czech Republic sends a cosmonaut to investigate the cosmic phenomenon of dust clouds and mysterious particles called chopra. The cosmonaut is named Jakub, whose health has been slightly declining for the past 6 months. One day, Jakub is contacted by his colleague named Peter, who inquires about Jakub's current condition. Although Jakub responds that he's all right, Peter, noticing Jakub's condition, advises him to rest more. After ending the call with Peter, Jakub is immediately contacted by the project leader of the space mission named Tuma. During the interview session, a lucky girl gets the chance to communicate with Jakub. During this opportunity, the girl, feeling sorry for him, asks if Jakub feels very lonely out there. It's known that Jakub is 500 million kilometers away from Earth, crossing the planet Jupiter. Even though Jakub is alone, he replies that he won't feel lonely because he can still communicate with them. A few days later, the space agency was shocked by a video from Jakub's wife, named Lenka. The video contained a message from Lenka expressing her desire to divorce Jakub. Learning this news startled and devastated Jakub. With this news, Jakub's days passed without any enthusiasm until Peter and Commissioner Tuma, who observed Jakub via CCTV, became concerned about his condition. As a result, they all planned to visit Jakub's wife. One night, while Jakub was resting, he was awakened by a vacuum cleaner noise that disturbed him. Upon investigation, Jakub was startled to see a small spider-like figure entering his head and then exiting from his mouth. It turned out to be just a nightmare that Jakub had been having lately, always preoccupied with thoughts of his beloved wife. After the incident, Jakub appeared dazed and unrested. This was evident as he struggled to fix the CCTV camera, which he could usually repair in just one day. The next day, when Jakub tried to contact Lenka, to his surprise, he heard a mysterious voice responding to his questions. The voice seemed to sense Jakub's loneliness and attempted to help him.
Lenka? Hello?
Hello. Can I help you?
Who do I have here? Hello?
My apologies.
Who the hell is this?
Feeling something strange, Jakub contacted Peter to inquire about it. Upon learning this, Peter was incredulous because no one could enter or tamper with their communication devices and systems. After further examination, Peter suggested that it could be interference from South Korea, which had also sent someone to investigate the chopra clouds. After a tiring day, Jakub was once again disturbed by noisy sounds from the hallway. Curious, Jakub checked to see where the noise was coming from. Upon arriving at the dining area, it was evident that his food storage cabinet was open and in disarray. Therefore, Jakub checked each hallway and discovered a mysterious creature. The creature resembled a large spider, and Jakub, frightened, contacted the control center for help, considering that the cameras there were not yet fixed, and he was alone. As he was followed by the talking, spider-like monster, Jakub attempted to enter the airlock room. At that moment, Jakub asked Peter to decontaminate his spacecraft. Although Peter found no signs of anomalies in his sensors, he instructed Jakub to wear his spacesuit before entering the critical phase. Sensing that Jakub's mental state was disturbed, their sponsor ordered Jakub to mention their slogan. After ensuring that Jakub was back to normal, Peter proceeded with the decontamination.
Before you deploy the decontaminant, the bomber slogan.
What?
From corporate sponsorship said they want you to say the slogan first.
Bomba is 99.999%. Bomba away.
Alright, very good. Clear to go.
During the decontamination process, Jakub constantly imagined Lenka, who was always on his mind. Seeing Jakub desperate and continuously haunted by Lenka, Peter, a true friend, encouraged Jakub to express his feelings. Knowing that Jakub desperately wanted to meet Lenka, Peter assured him that he would connect them someday. Therefore, after the decontamination process was completed, Peter advised Jakub to take care of his health. Slowly, Jakub began to emerge from the airlock room, only to encounter the spider-like monster once again, which seemed indestructible. On this occasion, the spider, named Hanus by Jakub, stated that it did not feel pain when exposed to Earth's cleaning agents. Feeling that Hanus might not be as dangerous, Jakub decided to remove his spacesuit and rest again. Hanus, as it turned out, was a space explorer creature that enjoyed surveying planets from orbit and studying various life forms' histories.
I experienced no pain in my encounter with Earth's cleaning agents. Why are you here? I am like you, an explorer. I surveyed your Earth from orbit. But why are you on this vessel? Your loneliness intrigued me.
One day, while Hanus was performing its duties, it accidentally sensed the human attraction from the spacecraft boarded by the lonely Jakub. Curious, Hanus attempted to enter and study all of Jakub's abilities, language, food, and known consumption. Since then, Jakub's days were filled with thoughts of Lenka, and he had to constantly communicate closely with Hanus. Unexpectedly, Hanus could influence and even enter Jakub's mind, doing so to help Jakub deal with his emotional disturbances. One day, while Jakub was warming himself, Hanus approached him, wanting to experience Earth creature food. Hearing this request, Jakub took a jar of peanut butter and handed it to Hanus. Hanus, experiencing peanut butter for the first time, was delighted as it savored the taste of Earth creature food. Hanus, carried away, immediately recounted the story of its extinct species due to an attack by creatures from another universe known as the Gorompids. Hanus himself managed to survive by escaping through the universe and traversing the time corridor, although Hanus in the form of a spider is not an ancestor or descendant of spiders themselves. From there they became even closer, and at a moment when Jakub's spacecraft was close to the Chopra cloud, Hanus recounted its past experiences playing around the cloud. It was during this time that Jakub asked Hanus if there was something inside it, to which Hanus stated that within the Chopra cloud lies a beginning, believed to be the formation of the universe. Sometime later, observing Jakub's regular exercise routines, Hanus inquired about what Jakub was doing. Unexpectedly, upon learning Jakub's reasons for exercising, Hanus, curious about Jakub's life, asked about Jakub's father, only to discover that Jakub's father had died decades ago in a tragic event. Shifting to Commissioner Tuma, who was currently visiting Lenka at her mother's residence, Tuma mentioned that Jakub's condition was worsening and he missed Lenka dearly. Knowing that they still loved each other, Commissioner Tuma urged Lenka, who was heavily pregnant, to cancel her divorce with Jakub. The next day, unexpectedly, Lenka contacted Jakub. Upon hearing his wife's voice, Jakub rushed to answer the call, only to realize it was just a recording of an old conversation between him and Lenka from months ago that played automatically. Frustrated by this, Jakub stopped the video playback. Fortunately, it didn't take long for the video recording to suddenly stop on its own. In the midst of his anger, Jakub and Hanus were amazed by a particle from the Chopra cloud that appeared before them out of nowhere. Jakub immediately grabbed a jar, attempting to contain the particle. Unfortunately, the Chopra cloud particle couldn't be confined and instead penetrated something it passed through. Unexpectedly, at one point, Jakub's spacecraft was very close to the Chopra cloud. Seeing this, Jakub immediately contacted the control center, but unfortunately, no one answered Jakub's call. And here we can find out the reason Lenka wanted to divorce Jakub. It turns out that several years ago, Lenka became pregnant with Jakub's child. However, one day, Lenka, who enjoyed exercising, suddenly encountered a problem, and no one helped her. Jakub, who arrived late at the hospital, regretted prioritizing his work and being late. As a result of the miscarriage of their first child, Lenka, who didn't want it to happen again, chose to separate. Sometime later, because the radio in the spacecraft wasn't functioning, Jakub contacted Peter through the chat connect. During their conversation, unexpectedly, Hanus disconnected the call between Jakub and Peter. With a beautiful memory inserted into Jakub's head by Hanus, Jakub and his wife, Hanus said that Jakub needed to understand Lenka's feelings, even though it seemed impossible because it was already too late. Hanus urged Jakub not to give up and to continue striving to correct the mistakes he had made. The next day, with Peter's help, Jakub contacted Lenka through the chat connect. Even though Lenka ignored the call, Jakub still apologized and explained that he loved Lenka deeply and didn't want to separate from her. One day, Jakub was surprised by Hanus's drastically changed appearance. It turned out that Hanus failed to pass through space and time when fleeing from the Orphaned, resulting in this change. Jakub tried to comfort Hanus by hugging the creature. After successfully fixing some problems on the spacecraft, Jakub was contacted again by Commissioner Tuma to congratulate him on his research. In a few moments, they would launch Verda into the chopra. In that moment, Jakub thanked all humanity, especially the people of the Czech Republic, and Lenka, who had always supported him in any situation. During the launch process of Verda, unexpectedly, Jakub's spacecraft experienced damage. Fortunately, before the situation worsened, Jakub activated the FSC. Clearly using the FSC, Jakub was able to obtain many samples from the chopra cloud. Amidst the ongoing operation, seeing Hanus's condition deteriorate, Jakub tried to help him without paying attention to the control center constantly contacting him. Jakub immediately put on his spacesuit and went out of the spacecraft just to help Hanus. After struggling in space, Jakub finally managed to reach Hanus, who was about to be sucked into the chopra cloud. It was then that Hanus said he would soon die due to the Orphaned, which was slowly consuming his body. In the remaining days of his life, Hanus took Jakub into the chopra cloud to enjoy the beauty of the galaxy in outer space. The universe appeared so beautiful, like a living miracle, better than any phenomena we had ever seen before. It was a great pity that the strange creature like the spider that had accompanied Jakub had to leave forever.
It's time, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I brought something for you.
Thank you. I can leave you now. I begin and I end here. But perhaps this is not your ending.
Thank you, Hanus, for everything.
Amidst his despair, Jakub, who missed Lenka dearly, imagined Lenka sitting like a princess, waiting for the arrival of her prince. Sometime later, who knows how long Jakub had been in space, he was found by a South Korean spacecraft. In his spare time, Jakub contacted Lenka to tell her that he still loved her, and that's how the plot of this movie unfolds. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.